Full time at the London Stadium, West Ham United 1, Crystal Palace 1. A goal in the 13th minute from Mohamed Kudus gave West Ham the lead before it was cancelled out early on in the second half, once again through Odsonne Edouard after a horrific defensive error from Konstantinos Mavropanos. I hope you are well. Thank you very much indeed for joining us for this match reaction. I'll tell you what, I don't know how anyone can defend this. I don't know how anyone can defend sitting there watching that football week in, week out. It's boring, it's predictable, and we're devoid of ideas, completely devoid of ideas. And I tell you what, without Mohamed Kudus, I don't know where we'd be. Well, I do know where we'd be, a lot further down the table than we are. 6 goals in all competitions for him now in the West Ham shirt. Probably the only player in that way in claret and blue today that can take themselves off that pitch with their head held reasonably high, because I thought Mohamed Kudus had a profitable impact on the game. Apart from that, I thought they were all incredibly poor. We were in control of that first half without really having to do too much. Crystal Palace are a poor side, they aren't great, and we gifted them a goal. We gifted them back into the game, and they held on for a point. That point does nothing for us really. It's a good point for Crystal Palace, but for us, it's poor, if I'm being brutally honest, and we should be beating Crystal Palace at home. There's no doubt about that. And at the end of the day, you've got to look at the defending for their goal, and then B, at the end of the day, you've got to look at not making changes in the second half. It was clear it wasn't working. There were so many dimensions of that midfield and attack that wasn't working in that game. David Moyes either failed to identify it or was too naive to make a change because he thought it would work somehow magically. It's just so predictable. It's so boring, and getting fed up of it, getting completely and utterly fed up of it. And as I said, if it weren't for Kudus, then we'd be considerably further down this league than we currently are at the moment. And that point does very little for us, in my opinion. Michael says, sorry, but we have turned into a crap team. Now, last 10 minutes, we played 80 minutes to defend, starting to get on me now. It was just poor, really, really poor. And Bowen was non-existent up front. You could tell he was coming back from an injury. Paqueta is not a left winger. How many more times have we got to sit here and say to this? I don't know how he lasted 90 minutes today, Lucas Paqueta. I thought he was really, really poor. Alvarez was sloppy. Mavropanos gave the ball away for the goal. I mean, what are you doing? What are you doing? I mean, what rule number 1 of being a centre half? You just don't do that, do you? You don't go back and pass blind, which he did. It's pathetic. And Alvarez didn't go to him, and just like that, it's 1-1, and we let him back into the game. We were comfortable, and once again, you come back to the reoccurring issue of us conceding right after half time. Inside the first 10 minutes of the first half, we've conceded something stupid like 6 or 7 goals in all competitions so far this season. That is an issue. There is something wrong with what is going on in that dressing room at half time, because once again, we've got a squad, a unit of players there that are not by any means getting anywhere near their ability. Let's take some comments before we do bring Curtis back on to the show. He says, we need some tactics. Even Roy made subs before us. Exactly. It was 2 of the oldest managers in the Premier League, and they all like to sit back and, contain the pressure and all the rest of it. Even Roy made changes before Moyes today. Why? What was the purpose of not making changes? Cornet was really good midweek. He made an impact. He got us the 3 points in Europe, but no, we won't bring him on. No, we won't give him a chance. Why? Shocked at the lack of tactics. I'm not shocked, to be honest. We've seen it week in, week out. It's the same thing week after week. I fell asleep again. I don't blame you. We have to accept that we are just an average Premier League club. We're an average Premier League club with a below par manager with an above par team, if we're being honest. Awful to watch once again. This is a management issue, isn't it? It is. There's no doubt about it, and there's two dimensions you've got to look at. Let's bring Curtis on for this. Look, Curtis, your initial thoughts on that?
Mate, where do I start? Moyes making absolutely no subs until the 87th minute.
Shocking.
The sub he does make is not productive enough.
No.
Bless Fornals, he done what he could. He got some crosses in the box. He got involved. Why are you not making any more subs? No. We need to win this. Really, it's not a must win. It's not a 6-pointer, but we had everything going for us to go and win that game, and we bottled it. You could have brought on Cornet. You could have brought on Mabama.
Yeah.
We spoke about this before the game. absolutely bottled it. I heard what you were saying just before I came on. The Mavropanos, you shouldn't be playing that blind. Absolutely not. But for me, he's made that pass, and Alvarez doesn't go to him.
Yeah.
You've got a 50-50 challenge there. He hesitates and then backs off, and it allows whoever it was, Edouard, to pick up the ball and run through. If he doesn't stop, if he doesn't hesitate, and he carries on with his initial thought by going to the ball, you could snap him and win that ball. You go through him but win the ball, and then all of a sudden that's broke that up, and then you tell Mavropanos, don't do that again.
Yeah.
So for me, that's two people at fault there. Even though Mavropanos has played the blind ball and he shouldn't have, Alvarez hasn't backed him up. Yeah. So I've got a problem with that. And obviously the Moyes, people playing out of position. Everyone's saying Bowen. What I said before the game about Mabama in the last game when he was isolated up top, didn't get no service, happened exactly the same to Bowen, and that's because of the way we set up. That's because of our tactics. That Moyes implements into the team. He doesn't set up properly to provide the central forward man. Everything's from the sides and down the wings, which is all well and good. But then what's the point of having someone up top central? You might as well play a V shape going forward and no one in the middle, because that's where everything's coming from. And then midfielders can arrive late into the box. There's so much wrong, Jake. So much wrong.
There is. Fundamentally, with that side, when you look at it, I mean, I don't think the fullbacks were particularly good today either, if I'm honest. To be fair, I didn't think any of them were fantastic. And, you know, the defensive issues, the defensive calamities don't fall on Moyes, but as we've mentioned, the rest of it does. It's appalling. It's appalling. I mean, people we spoke, of course. You know, we've now learnt that Kurt Zouma couldn't be involved in today's game because of a family matter. So our thoughts go out to him. A difficult time for him and his family. So I hope everything can be resolved for him. But you know, you get people. You know, you see people say that we don't miss Kurt Zouma in that side. There's no coincidence that every time Kurt Zouma is not in this side, something like that happens. I don't think that happens if Kurt Zouma isn't there. I mean, was it the Brentford game he wasn't a part of and we made issues again? It's not a coincidence. We make defensive errors when our captain and when Kurt Zouma isn't there. And he was a big miss once again today. Of course, it was unavoidable in that sense. But Mavropanos was solid defensively, but for that moment, really poor. Really poor, Kais.
Yeah, 100%. You can't blame him. He's not had that much game time, really. Let's be honest. It's just a moment of madness where he's just lapsed in concentration and thought to himself, "Yeah, I can play it back to a man that I know is there," but he's just not put enough on it, and he's not taken into account that someone, an opposing player, is within a 5-10 yard radius of him. I don't think that happens if Kurt Zouma's there. He's more of a leader. He's more experienced than that. He doesn't put himself into those situations. He'll probably turn out and go back to the keeper if he needs to. Always play safe. If you can't go forward or you can't do a certain thing, you just go back. Play it easy. Keep ball retention. Keep recycling the ball over and over. Don't lose possession. Don't do nothing stupid where you could lose possession. And that's where obviously his experience comes into it, Kurt Zouma's. So yeah, that doesn't happen with him. He probably gets himself in a better position where he can actually play the ball out.
Yeah,
let's be fair. But it wasn't just about that. Yeah, that's led to a goal, so hence why everyone's going to be talking about it. But there are so many other things wrong with today. But I must say, we were crying out for a better performance. I still think that's a better performance than the last couple of games, Burnley and the game in Serbia.
Marginally, yeah.
I mean, the end was exciting because you just think, when are we going to score? When are we going? Because it was just attack after attack after attack, and you just think that final ball, if it had a little bit more quality and a bit more precision on it, we would have scored.
Yeah, I mean, somebody just put on Twitter, they're bang on, set up wrong, tactics wrong, game plan wrong, subs wrong, result wrong, and that's the bottom line of it in the end. There's so many things that we can dissect that was just frustrating and wrong about that today. So many elements. I mean, at one point, it's so disjointed. That midfield is unbelievably disjointed for about 20 minutes. James Ward-Prowse was playing as left midfielder. Souček went from playing as an attacking midfielder back for the last 20 as playing as a defensive midfielder. You had players everywhere. Nobody knew what they were doing. There were swap overs between Kudus and Bowen, and I mean, Bowen was ineffective today, and Paqueta was chucked up there at one point as well. There's just so many elements of that that were just wrong. And honestly, I don't know what goes through Moyes' mind. I really don't. He stands there like sort of expressionless on the 88th minute. Just make the changes earlier. I mean, how many football matches has he managed in his career? Just make obvious. It's obvious. You know, everybody in that stadium could see it, and the full-time whistle was greeted with loud boos from the home fans, and we'll get all the pundits going to say, "Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that." Well, you haven't got to watch that every week. Most, you know, a fair few neutrals would have watched that today and went, "That was a horrible game of football." And West Ham play a horrible style of football. We've got away with it. But today, we didn't. A point at home to Palace is unacceptable. It's not a result that we should be getting. We should be beating Palace at home if we want to be anywhere near the top half of the table, in my opinion. Let's take some of your comments. Bowen, one head in 90 minutes. He's not that type of striker. He was ineffective. Well, Liverpool are now 4-3 up. Crazy. No subs made. Baffling. Was. Completely baffling. There's just no excuse for it. Moyes knows he's gone. The players know he's gone. We just got to get through the next 24 games. Alan says, what has Cornet and Mubama done? Exactly. He won't bring him on. Won't bring him on. Why? Those two. And especially Cornet. He made an impact. He made a clear and subtle impact on Thursday night. He set up the goal. He gave us a bit more energy, a different dimension. And then what's his reward today? Oh, you won't come on. Don't worry. Just sit on the bench. I mean, why? Just what?
No, I mean, we've talked about that so many times, Jake. Like a player comes into the squad, whether it's on the sub or in the starting 11, does something, and then gets dropped for the next game. It does no player any confidence. And he's going to think to himself, what have I got to do to keep ticking over? And he needs to keep ticking over because he's been out for such a long time and he's had such a bad run in terms of playing, like all these other players that we keep seeing, like Mabama, Ben Rahman now. He's just finding himself hard to get onto the pitch in general. Fornals found it hard. He started coming on the last couple of appearances. And you just need to keep these players ticking over, especially what we said before the show, where you've got the games coming thick and fast every 3-4 days. You're going to need these players because if you start running these players, your starting 11 into the ground, they're going to be cream crackers. And I think that sort of showed at the end of this game. Them subs needed to come up. And listen, I understand from a managerial perspective. I've had to manage teams myself, and it's a tight draw. Even at 1-0, it's a tight game. So you're always going to be wary of making that sub. You're paid thousands and thousands, to make these decisions. So your whole job is based around tactics. So you can look on that and go, right, when's the best time? What can I make? When's the best time I can make it? I can make it in the last 15, make it in the last 10 at least, knowing that you're going to have another 5 added on. So you're giving that player 15 minutes essentially. And you think, right, that's enough time. Even though it's tight, I don't want to make subs, but I've got to make subs because otherwise in the next 10, 15 minutes, my players are going to be knackered and we can end up conceding. So you make the subs before anything sort of arises, any sort of problem arises, and you nullify them problems from happening. And you just give someone else a chance, and you've just got to do it. I know it's tight, but you still the players you're bringing on aren't crap. They're not fringe players, like reserve players. You've got Cornet there who's proven. You've got Benrahma there that's proven. Bring them on. Yeah.
Exactly. Alan says it has to be Moyes' amazing half-time team talk. It puts the players to sleep. Is that inspiring? Exactly. It's game after game. This keeps happening. It's just awful. It is absolutely awful. Yeah, I forgot about Fornals coming on. Not interested in hearing people make excuses for Moyes after that. Absolute rubbish. Zuma still our best defender by a mile. Kudus was good today, I thought. Yeah, he was okay. Best form of defence is attack, but we pass backwards and sideways far too much. And again, we'll revisit an issue that we thought and hoped we would rectify today. It's the speed of passing. It's the speed of our tempo. And once again, we get the ball to Alvarez and Ward-Prowse and it comes back and we roll it across the back four and we pass it back to Areola. It's, boringly slow and just lethargic every single week. And then it happened again today where we couldn't pick up the tempo because of how droll and how poorly we were just rolling it across the back four.
I think in the first half we looked a bit better considering we were talking about this pre-game, and we looked like we were passing it with not as much intensity and fluently as I liked, but a lot better than we had done in the previous week or so. And I thought, right, yeah, this looks good. This looks better. They're on it. They're making positive forward passes. They're interchanging. Kudus, I think, was the man of the match today. I think he was brilliant tonight in comparison. All the tricks and flicks come out. He was beating a man. He was coming inside. He was staying out wide, trying to beat a man, getting crosses in. And then second half, it was just completely different. We just went back. It still wasn't as worse as the previous week, but it just got progressively slower as the game went on.
Oh, it did.
Yeah. So you're going out to push for a winner. Clearly, you need to keep the ball moving and fast-paced passing. And you notice that the play had slowed right down, especially the latter of the second half, to make the changes, get some fresh legs on, fresh ideas, fresh players that have got fresh movements, and then you can keep recycling that ball over and over again and keep making those forward passes, and something will eventually come of it. I think Moyes just played it too safe, far too safe. Like
Absolutely.
I said, we should be winning that game. We should be beating Crystal Palace if we're thinking, even if we're thinking of breaking into European places again.
Oh, we need to be 100%. I got the scoreline right. Unfortunately, you did, Sharky, 1-1. Yeah. I mean, it feels like a loss, to be honest. I've just looked at the Premier League table and realised we have gone up a point, and it sort of reminded myself that we did get a point from this game. But do you know what? It feels like a loss because of how poor that second half was. And we sort of, we went sort of okay tempo in the first half, and we were probably valued for a goal lead, and then it just got progressively worse as the second half got underway, and then it sort of picked up a little bit towards the end where we did inevitably try and push for a winner, but it was ineffective in the end. And yeah, it's no good for us. A point, absolutely no good. I'm afraid Moyes is killing the club from the inside. The players want out, and the board are blinkered. It's just frustrating. And hopefully City put a few past Spurs in about half an hour, and that gives us a glimmer of confidence to go to their place and even think about picking something up midweek. I mean, what was the lack of subs? I wonder what Cornet and Mubama are thinking. Exactly. Teams don't get shifted from side to side as we roll it. The tempo is infectious. It goes through all of the players because of how slow we are. And I don't know how many times in that game the ball came to Kudus and he just ran and he pushed us up the pitch effectively. No one else does that. No one else gets the ball and goes, you know what, I'm going to run with it. Apart from Kudus today, it was all too many safe and backwards and sideways passes that in the end accumulated to nothing, Curtis.
Yeah, 100%. And we said this briefly before the game. If Kudus is playing, he's going to be the one that drives it on. If he's playing on that right hand side or down the right flank, he looks like our only player. And I remember when Ben Rama used to do it, and now he just cuts back.
Yeah.
But he's our only player. Owen doesn't even do it. He will pick up the ball and he'll beat 2 or 3 because he has to, because they swarm him, and he still manages to wriggle out of it and get to the bar line and put a cross in. And we need some more players. We need 2 players, one either side, down those wings, that can do that, but can also switch it up and cut inside and cross with their weaker foot, or lay it off to the edge of the box, or lay it back for someone else to whip it in. But yeah, we know what to expect with Kudus. We know he's a quality player, and I think he's really starting to come out even more and show his talent, what he can really do for this football club. Now he's sort of finding his feet in the Premier League a bit. He's finding the pace of it. He's finding out how the style of play is from other teams in the Premier League. I think he's superb, and we need to sort of nurture him a bit, but keep him in bubble wrap as well, because that's one thing that we can't lose.
With the one sub that Moyes did eventually make on the 88th minute was the introduction of Pablo Fornals, and Dad makes an interesting comment here. Imagine Cornet in the parts to play Fornals, and I don't think Fornals was bad. He actually got himself into some pretty good positions. But imagine Cornet in there, because Cornet can go and he can run. He's got the skill to beat the man and then to get himself into a better position. I just don't understand why that sub wasn't made, and what Moyes' train of thought was to go, I know, I'm going to bring Fornals in, who's confidence is on the floor, when we need a winner, when we need a bit of a bit of incentive and just a bit of spark. Since when has Fornals ever brought that bit of spark and late super sub influence? Has he ever brought that to West Ham? I just don't understand that sub.
AZ Alkmaar, he did.
True.
In the semi-final. But it wasn't needed because we were going through anyway.
Yeah.
But he has done in the past. And like I say, he's one player that sort of regressed in the past year, 18 months or so. But
in this situation, I just struggled to see the.
Yeah. I agree. Cornet has to be the direct player there, or even Ben Rama. If you're going to throw the kitchen sink at it, then you might as well take off a couple more midfielders and keep your even take Bowen off if you have to, and keep Kudus out on the right. Paqueta through the middle or something. I don't know. So many other things. Mabama you could have put in there. You could have whacked on a few other players. Took off. Do you really want to take off Prance or Souček? Don't know. It depends what Moyes was thinking of it. You want to maintain your balance of your team, but still try and push for a winner like we did, or do we want to just go all out and push for a winner? And then if it doesn't succeed, we get caught in the counter, end up losing the game.
Yeah, true.
That's 22, but I think Moyes needs to be making better decisions there.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just an eternally frustrating game, and I don't know how people can back this. And somebody just put a list of adjectives that describe the way we play: bland, uninspiring, ineffective, and it's all of those. It's boring, and we all go and pay our money to go and watch this, and we've just got to sit through that week in, week out. And there's no light at the end of it. You can't see where this is going to improve with these players playing this way. This is how things are going to be until there is an inevitable change. Moyes could have taken the majority of those off today, because they were really, really poor. And Moyes isn't to blame for Mavropanos doing that pass. He isn't to blame for Alvarez backing off and not committing and making a challenge like he should have done. But at the end of the day, he had a chance to impact the game and for us to go on and win it on the 70th minute by bringing on Cornet, by bringing on Mubama, by maybe bringing on Ben Rama, just for some fresh legs, because those players were hung out to dry today. Because there was 5 or 6 of them that played Thursday night, that travelled back late, got back Friday, really tired, jet lag maybe. I don't know, Serbia's quite a long way. They were hung out to dry because those players were there and he didn't use the players to come off the bench. Even flipping Roy Hodgson made some changes today earlier than we did, and they didn't play Europe midweek. Surely, why didn't Moyes think, some of these players are going to be out on their feet a little bit? They played midweek. It was tough. We had to fight till the end, and we had to do that again today. We've played some really grueling, difficult games in the last couple of weeks, and Moyes isn't using the players that are on the subs bench just for this purpose, to come on and make an impact with 20 minutes to go. And that's the bottom line of it today. And we've chucked 2 points away, I think, because we had the lead and we had control, which is the main thing towards the end of that first half, Curtis.
Yeah, 100%. I think we were the most dominant side. If you look at the stats, they say we only had 1 touch in the opponent's box and they had like 11 or something by half time. But I think we created the better chances, if you like. They came on to us a bit more as soon as we scored. They sort of picked their game up. They sort of pressed a little bit more in your face as a pack, more aggressive. And then obviously tried pushing for the equaliser and a winner. Which made us even more reserved, but we didn't use that to our advantage, because we like teams when they come at us, so then we can break the play up or pick the ball up in transition and then counter attack. And when we had the opportunity to counter attack, it was slow, so slow. Yeah. We should be. That's our bread and butter, Jake. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what we've been doing to teams for 2-3 years, picking them off or forcing them to make an error and pick the ball off them.
And our counter-attacking influence has now just been stripped away, hasn't it? Because we look ineffective in those positions. Apart from Kudus, we look slow, we look, disjointed, and we struggle to put 5 forward passes together. We've always made 1 or 2 passes and then go back, or then sideways, or it goes back to the keeper, and all the rest of it. There's no fluidity about our passing through the defence to the midfield to the attack. There's no sort of clear route through, and I think we're sloppy in possession. We're not quick enough in possession, and at the end of the day, I think it was just a really poor performance, especially in that second half. First half, I thought we were relatively comfortable in the situation of the game, and then second half, it all went downhill. And if we're being realistic, there was only one team who was going to score a winner in that second half, and I don't think it was going to be us, to be honest, because Crystal Palace had a couple of chances. That header that he sort of didn't really connect with properly. I think it was Edouard who had that header. Should have scored right before. They did in the end score. So look, it's just incredibly average, as Luke says. Thanks for joining us, Luke. He says West Ham are an absolute gold standard of average. They certainly are. I think we've lost Curtis there because his screen's gone. We'll try and get him back. But yeah, I was just about to wrap things up. Anyway, Peter, I'll be inclined to agree. Can't see us finishing any higher than 10th. Yeah, I mean, if we're going to continue to play like that, let's hope the clock strikes right on Thursday and we can have a miracle and try and get something at Spurs. Then Fulham away, never know what you're going to get there. And Wolves are a pretty decent side after that, so there needs to be an improvement. That goes without saying. Player-wise, tactically-wise, setup-wise, and manager-wise, there needs to be an improvement with this team, with this unit, and the way we're playing. Because we've scraped through, we've been lucky in recent weeks. Our luck ran out. It feels like a loss. We've got a point, so I suppose that's the only positive that I'm really going to take out of this, because we should be winning at home to Palace. That's a given. There's no doubt about it. If we want to be in the top half of the table, these are games we need to win on our home ground. But yeah, I'll have a Monday morning chat for you tomorrow morning to dissect things a little bit more with a calmer head on top of these shoulders, so make sure you look out for that tomorrow. But until then, thank you very much indeed for watching. Drop a like on the video and subscribe to West Ham Official. Become a channel member if you'd like, for as little as £2 a month by clicking the join button. That would help out the channel and put a smile on my face, which is difficult to do at the moment with these performances, but it is what it is. Right, we're now hopefully going to go and watch some attacking football in the Man City versus Spurs game. But yeah, that's it from me. Come on, your wines. Try and keep the faith if you can. It's a struggle, and it was a struggle in that second half. And a point was probably a fair result on reflection of how things panned out. Disappointing, devoid of ideas, and really, really poor today. But until the next one, thank you very much. It is Luke. It is. We've got everything back up and running again, so channel members can now renew if they like. But yeah. That's it from me. Thank you very much. And we will see you soon right here on West Ham Official. Roundup show tomorrow, Monday morning chat, and some other content along the way as well. Spurs on Thursday. See you soon. Bye-bye.